Okay, now you're live.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Pillar One Advisory Committee. Today, I'm joined by my special team here, the Pillar One team, and some special guests from Baltimore County, Washington County, Scott Mitchell, and we have a lot of things to talk about in this meeting. I'm really excited to hear from everyone regarding the blueprint implementation in each county and what's going on and how they are supporting the blueprint and also the workforce. We also have some information sharing, pathways for high school and college students, and see if that can be another topic of discussion in this space. So let me start the meeting with introductions. I'll introduce myself and I'll pass it on to someone, and then you can, again, pass it on to somebody else. My name's Ruby Daniels, and I am the chair of the Pillar One Advisory Committee to the AIB, and I'm also the president of the Maryland State Family Child Care Association and pre-K grantee. So I'm also pre-K expansion grantee and the family child care provider in Howard County. I'll pass it on to my co-chair, Dr. Ray.
Good evening, Dr. Rainier Miller, Consortium of Accomplished Educators, and just happy to be here this month.
Do you want to pass it on to someone?
I'm sorry, I'm not going to pick on Jacob. I like to pick on him, but I'm going to not pick on him. I'm going to put my glasses back on. I'm going to get, how about Sashi?
Hi, I'm Sakshi, and I'm the student representative for Pillar One, and I go to Long Beach High School in Howard County, Maryland.
Sakshi, do you want to pass it to someone?
Yeah, I'll pass it to Gina.
Hi, everyone. I am Gina Hoover. I am the early learning teacher at Washington County Public Schools and also a Pillar One Advisory Committee member. And it's good to see everyone. And I will pass it to Kelly.
Good evening, everybody. I am Kelly Longerbeam. I am the coordinator for early learning for Washington County Public Schools. So Gina is my partner in crime here. I forgot to pass it on. I'll pass it on to Bridget.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Bridget Herbert. I am a teacher at the Technical High School in Washington County, and I teach pre-K here. Oh, good gravy. I'm so sorry. Melissa.
Hi, everyone. I am Melissa DiDonato. I'm the Chief Academic Officer for Baltimore County Public Schools, and thrilled that my colleague and I met Ruby at a conference and are excited to join with you guys and learn more about the work that you're doing and how we may be able to do some similar things. I will pass it off to Andrea.
Hi, I'm Andrea Darian. As of July 1st, I will be the new director for early childhood education in Baltimore County Public Schools. So I'm excited for the opportunity to learn from you and do a lot of listening this evening, and I look forward to collaborating more with you in the future. And I'm having trouble seeing anyone, so let me try and see who I can pass it on to. Mill.
I think it's Scott or Jacob.
Okay, so I'll go with Scott. Thank you.
Hi, I am full name James Scott Mitchell. I do go by my middle name, Scott. I am the pre-K teacher and director of a co-op nursery school, Silver Spring Nursery School in Montgomery County. I'm also the president of the Potomac Association of Cooperative Teachers. And I will pass to Jacob.
Hello, I'm Jacob, and I teach kindergarten here in Harford County with Harford County Public Schools. And I'm a member of this board. And I guess since there's no one left to pass it on to, I'll talk the rest of the meeting. So good job, Ruby. I'm now in charge.
Okay. Thank you, Jacob.
I'll pass it back to Ruby.
You do an excellent job. Now, I'll pass it on to Rachel, because Rachel, we would like to hear some update from the AIB if you have anything to share. I know we just recently got the implementation from the local counties. So if there's anything that you want to share regarding that aspect.
Awesome. Thank you. Rachel Amstutz, Policy Director here at the AIB. We do have a packed agenda tonight, so I'm going to keep it very brief, but I'm open to any questions. So I'm going to say that first. You can let your mind go for any questions, and then I'll give you just a couple of quick updates. As Ruby mentioned, we did receive all of the LEA 2024 Blueprint Implementation Plan submissions. This year it was broken into two parts, March 15th and May 1st. And so we have been reading through all of those. We've completed our initial read, and we are currently reaching consensus with scores and hope to get feedback back to LEAs in the coming week or so, the initial round of feedback. We have a hope to be able to get them approved at our July board meetings. And so that's our tentative plan. And then this year we did shift our state plans. So like MSDE, MHEC, the CTE committee, juvenile services, and I'm forgetting someone, but we shifted those to be due later in the year because we can't read all of them at once. So we may as well have them come in a more staggered way. I will tell you just as a side note that I had the privilege of reading a majority of Pillar 1 responses, and my heart was just beaming for what is happening across our state with our youngest learners and the efforts that are underway. That doesn't mean there aren't challenges, but people are working together and great things are happening. And we're seeing a significant increase in our number of youngest students in our schools, and some really cool creative planning. And then also some really awesome collaborative planning. So some districts wrote about taking a trip out to Western Maryland and seeing what they were doing, and then borrowing ideas that they were doing. So it was really exciting to read the Pillar 1 responses. Those are posted on our website if anybody is interested in looking. They're under the implementation plan tab of our website, and then you go to the left-hand column and look for LEA plans, and you'll find all of them there listed by county. A couple more things are due soon, which you might be interested in, including comprehensive literacy plans. They are due at the end of the month. So every county's plan will be posted, and we'll link to where that is on our website. And then also things are moving forward with career ladder developments, and an initial submission is due June 30, July 1 as well. There are always tons of things happening, but like I said, we do have a very packed agenda. So I would love to be available for any questions if there's anything anyone is curious about. Jacob.
Quick question. I wear many hats beyond being a kindergarten teacher, and one of them is I serve on the Harford County Council. And I was just curious if the AIB is paying attention to some of the budgetary squeezes that locals are facing, and some of the pushback from local governments towards the work of the blueprint. I know a lot of different counties are facing hundreds of position cuts this year to their school systems, which in the heart of what the blueprint's after seems totally counterintuitive to what the goal is. And I'm starting to see like this public angst of, you didn't tell me we were going to have to give up our music program, or we weren't, that kind of stuff. Is that something that the AIB is paying close attention to? Is there a conversation of how to respond to those things that are happening from LEA to LEA, or just
Great
where that
question.
conversation is?
Yes, great questions. And Ruby, I promise I won't derail your meeting. But what I can tell you is that, yes, we're very aware of, I think you called it a squeeze this year, and that's a good term for it. I don't know that anybody's not feeling it. Everybody is definitely feeling it in one way or another. We are very aware. There are some things that it's like that perfect storm, if you will. A lot of the ESSA money has the grants have ended and all of that, and then it's a lot of things happening at once. So we are very aware and have been in conversation with many of the districts. The best thing I can tell you that the AIB is doing is a huge focus right now and continuing into the next year on resource allocation. Our grant, the phase 2 of our technical assistance grant program, resource allocation is the #1 priority, and that begins on July 1st. And so of our districts, a vast majority signed up to join with us with that. We've contracted and identified several top-notch consultants to work with our state and local agencies around this. And so that's thinking about next year and moving forward. And so that work is underway, and we are in conversation with the districts as they're, many are having to make some difficult choices. And they did identify those in their plans. So district by district, you can see kind of what the challenges are, what the decisions are, what they're doing, and what maybe they're having to put on hold because it costs money to do some of these things. So yes, great point. And it is being felt around the state right now. And we're trying to support where we can, and recognize that it's a difficult time right now with finances. Any other questions? Okay, Ruby, I'll pass it back to you. And if any other questions come up, I am here.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. Jacob, if we can invite somebody from Harvard, we would love to hear from them, because I don't think we had anyone from Harvard yet as of today. So, Gina, do you just want to get a quick recap or highlight on what happened in our last meeting? I know there was a lot of discussion, and we have a lot of special guests. We have Chris Bush, Kate, we have Simeon, and we have Randy Albertson, Lisa Bucci, and Tracy Clay. So do you want to give a quick recap or feedback?
We had a full meeting, like Ruby said last week, so I tried to summarize quickly just the main points. So at our last meeting, we discussed the recent legislation of House Bill 1441 and how that aimed to address the barriers to the mixed delivery pre-K system, which is, a big thing in the blueprint. We talked about the challenges of the pre-K expansion grant for private providers, and looked at some ways to ease those challenges. And one of the ways that was talked about, Montgomery County shared how they piloted hubs to support private providers where they have teacher coaches helping the private providers and with a multitude of things, but one of them being the grant writing process. We also talked about ways to strengthen the partnership between LEAs and private providers, and MSDE is developing a sample MOU template to help with that. And then finally, we heard about the CCAMBE program that helps providers with foreign degree evaluation and translation. So I know that was kind of a nutshell. It was a lengthy meeting last time, but I tried to summarize as best I could the main points. And I think that all of these things are discussions that we will continue to have.
Yeah, thank you. That was amazing. Yeah, that was a very good recap. And it's actually CANBE. The acronym is CANBE. That's a program that our association is doing. In terms of the House Bill 1441, just want to share what's going on in our space right now. The Maryland Child Care Credential Program wasn't funded this year, but in the House Bill 1441, it will be or shall be funded in fiscal year 26. So that was a little bit of a challenge for us now, because the Maryland Credential, which we rely on in terms of training vouchers and also bonuses, is going to be on hold for a year. Just want to share that with the group. So let's just dive into the guest speakers. And I think the first one is Gina. Do you want to introduce your guest speaker from Washington County?
Sure. So I have two very good friends of mine here tonight to talk to you guys about some of the things that we're doing here in Washington County. Like I said, my job here is the early learning lead teacher, and I work in conjunction with Kelly, who is our early learning coordinator. So tonight we have Kelly Longerbeam with us and Bridget Herbert, and what they're going to kind of talk about tonight is just how we are helping to build our high schoolers capacity and how we are implementing some pre-K programs in our high schools. So I will turn it over to, I believe, Kelly first, and then Bridget. So thank you guys for being here.
Well, thank you so much for having us. So just to kind of give you an overview of how this all started was about 7-8 years ago when we were looking at our kindergarten readiness data. We were near the bottom in the state for our data. So basically about a third of our students were entering kindergarten ready. And at that time, we only had about 500 or 600 students enrolled in pre-K, and a lot of those students were half-day programs. So our superintendent had a passion for early learning and made it kind of his mission that he wanted to expand and provide universal pre-K. So as he was out in buildings, he literally was looking for spaces all over, trying to find space for pre-K classrooms. He actually was in a high school, and the principal approached him, who had a Teacher Academy of Maryland class, and his class was really struggling getting high schoolers in. And he said, "Hey, I got a classroom. We can make it a pre-K. We can partner with the TAM class. Let's do it." Midway through that year, we had construction going on. They put up two-way glass so the high schoolers could observe from one side, and got students there, enrolled, started, and it has just grown. They just celebrated, that program was our first one. The high school they are at is called North Hagerstown High School, and they're the hubs. So our pre-K program there is called the Little Hubs. And it's an awesome program because not only are the bigs learning, but the littles are learning at the same time. And those bigs have as much ownership as the teacher and para do in that classroom. And we try to make it work as well that they have the same time schedule as the neighboring elementary school. So transportation is not a barrier. So they actually can ride to the elementary school, and then they take a hub bus to the high school. And then at the end of the day, they get back on that hub bus and go back to the elementary school. But it also allows then if they need aftercare, they can get it at the elementary school. And one of the biggest things is safety as well. So we want to ensure the safety of our students because it is kind of scary to be in a high school. So they actually are on a different time zone as well as the high school. So they actually arrive earlier and then they leave earlier. So they're never arriving at the same time as the bigs. But honestly, the bigs and the whole building love them. They're kind of like the little mascot of the building. And what's really nice about it, I'll let Bridget will talk about her program, but the one at North, they really use that time to help those students that are in the classroom, the high school students. They are working towards taking their Parapro exam. And then they also help them take their first teacher praxis as well. So they, use that time with that. But it has done so well. We've actually had some neighboring counties come to visit us. Frederick County came to visit. And then actually Hartford County just came back in the fall to visit and see how it works. And we try to be creative with some things as well, because we know teacher planning time is a big thing. So the encore is actually brought up from that. Bridget will talk about her encore is brought up from the neighboring elementary school. It was a challenge at Little Hubs with theirs because their encore staff are split. So actually they have their encore with high school staff. So they have opportunities to visit the media center there. So they actually have like a little kid section in the library with all of that going on. They do fine arts. They have time to go outside and play. And then they also do some culinary and things with photography as well. So it's just a really cool partnership with that. And then I know Bridget's going to talk about hers, but just to add on some really cool things that we're also doing as well, just to kind of grow and build our own, is that we have apprenticeship program. So we have high school students who are working anywhere from 12 to 20 hours a week. And they're working with students K to 5, but they're also getting paid for that time. So, which is awesome as a high schooler, that they're, making some money, but also supporting our students. And the data we see from those high school students working with their elementary students is amazing. And the goal of that is that, they could go on to be a para, but the ultimate goal is we want them to also go on to be a teacher as well. So, and then something else we had this past year was something called our Accelerates program. So that was for students who might have already had a college degree, but it wasn't in education. So it's kind of like a fast and furious, course to get that degree, but they had that opportunity then to get that. And we support them to get a stipend and all of that as well. But I'll let Bridget share about her high school. And then we saw such success with it that we expanded to another building. So I'll let Bridget talk about our Little Eagles program at Tech High.
So Little Eagles is located in the technical high school. There is a teacher academy program here, and our classrooms are connected with glass so that they can see each way. That was added last year. I work very closely with Nicole Potter, who is the TAM teacher, and we make sure that the high schoolers get time in the classroom with the littles, doing things that the paraprofessional would do, but also teaching some lessons like I would do with the kids, mostly in small groups. But it has been an amazing opportunity to see. Last year was my first year up here, to see the juniors then become seniors, because it's the same students for 2 years, and see that relationship that they build and the way that they interact and they have grown over those 2 years was amazing this year. There are a lot of kiddos, they just graduated, that are applying to be a paraprofessional or getting ready to be a substitute as they go to college to become a teacher. And they're very interested in that. And that's part of the Grow Your Own. And we're trying to do that. They do take the most, I think 99% of the kiddos that just graduated passed the parapraxis. And some of them, maybe 75% took the first teacher praxis. So that's a big deal because we also, as a county, pay for that. So then that takes that off that student. There's one less praxis to take. Now in the classroom, my students, the littles, love working with the high school students. They absolutely love it. They have done skits with them, puppet shows, art lessons, reading lessons. They do retellings with them each week. They do all kinds of activities with the kiddos. I love the way that it seems seamless. The high schoolers are in and out of my classroom, the high school teachers in and out. We also have connection students that are at the high school, which is the life skill students. They come into the classroom, they work with our students as well. And that has been amazing because those students really engage with my kiddos. They learn tasks where they can set the tables for lunch and clean up, but they love to sit at centers with the littles and play with them. And they do a great job. We have questions that we want them to ask at the centers. And the high school students that are the TAM students will collect data on those questions. So they have data sheets that they use to collect that data. But the connection students just have conversations and just enjoy that time. And it's been amazing to see them grow as well. So that has been fun. The other thing that we do in here is the high schoolers also have an internship. So right now it works where it's in the spring of their senior year. High schoolers have a choice to stay in high school and do an internship, go to the middle school and do an internship, or go to an elementary school or stay here. I had 4 teachers that stayed this year, high school teachers that stayed, and they were with me from 9 a.m. till 11:15 every day. So they came right in at their bell and stayed till 11:15, which is our lunch, and then they were free to go to their next class. So, and they were in the classroom just like a para would do. They did all the things that a para would do, the lunch count, the helping with the pottying, all the things that a para would do, teaching small groups, helping students maybe calm down if they needed a little break, help the students with breaks, play games with them, educational games that we have like in our math curriculum, or even language arts games. There's an area in our CKLA during our phonics time where they're supposed to do independent work in a group of students. And we found that using those interns to help with that independent work made the most success happen during that time. So they didn't actually really teach that lesson, but they were there to help them, to guide them through the lesson. But it's been a very interesting process to work through these last 2 years. And it's an amazing school to be in and to see the progress that these teachers are making. And they're also working through, where do I want to teach? What do I want to teach? Where do I want to go? Or do I want to be a paraprofessional? What do I want to do? And so we are able to help them and answer their questions almost like a career counselor, so that they know more about what they want to do after the high school. So it's been a great 2 years, and I really have enjoyed being here and working this through. So it's been good. Thank you.
And just to add on, when Bridget was saying like all the group time that the students give to the littles, the data in these classrooms is amazing because they receive so much, differentiation and one-on-one and small group time. So it's amazing to see, and anyone is welcome to come visit. Just email us and let us know. We'd love to have you.
And I have to say too, we went to Bridget's celebration yesterday, the end of the year celebration. And one of the sweetest things I noticed was her high school students were like in tears, like, because they just had built such relationships with those littles. And like, they almost had me crying, like, because I was like, they were just like sobbing, hugging each other because they had ownership over those babies too. And like Bridget said, it is so seamless. Like the littles don't like, it's just like, oh, these are my teachers, and they just come in. But it was just one of the sweetest things just to see how like invested they were in those kids yesterday at the celebration. It was a really cool thing to witness yesterday. So
that is really nice program. I like the Little Eagles and the Little Hub, and it's amazing. Now, in terms of preparing the group of high schoolers for their next career. So you said that by the time they finish the program, they would be like para-educators and they can work as a para-educator in the public school?
They have passed their paraprofessional exam. So they could apply to be a paraprofessional, yes.
No, that's great. So, what about the CDA? Is that something that,
So that is actually next on our list to start thinking through some more. Yep.
yeah. Another question I have is that, do you counsel them that also about the CCC PDF, that it's a possibility, especially for somebody who's aspiring to be an educator? That is another pathway that we can do because, as a childcare provider, if they work in the childcare program, then they could avail of the CCC PDF and get the scholarship in order for them to go to college. Is that something that you would be willing to?
I don't know anything about that, but certainly I'd be willing to learn about it.
Yeah, it's the Child Care Career Professional Development Fund. So that is, childcare providers, if we would like to pursue our education further, whether it's in college or master's, then it is paid for. But you have to sign a contract, I guess, with MSDE that you have to, or the college, and that you have to remain in the childcare field for another 2 years and work 20 hours per week.
Oh,
So
that's wonderful.
it is a good program, especially for somebody who doesn't have the means, but would like to have a career in education. And this is the purpose of the Pillar 1 is to inform,
Okay.
the public.
Right.
So that way we know what's going on in our own little space and share it with the rest of Maryland, right?
Right. Great. Thank you.
Thank you. So our next guest is Andrea and Melissa. And I'm not sure who's going to go first. And they can talk about what's going on in Baltimore County. And I'm really pleased that they accepted the invitation to come and talk about what's going on in Baltimore County, which is just down the corner from Howard.
So I'll get us started and just share a little bit. Andrea and I were really excited to be here as listener participants and learn about everything that everyone else is doing. Because Baltimore County we are starting our pathway with really expanding pre-K. So this current school year, we expanded by about 23 full-day classes. And for the FY25, we'll be expanding 43 additional full-day pre-K classes. We have part of our process is we have lots of half-day programs. So really working to convert them to full-day programs without losing seats in the process. So it's a little bit of a strategic movement of things of where do we have, maybe 2 half-day classes or 4 half-day classes, and how can we then convert and with space restrictions and those kinds of things, be able to facilitate that. Our administrators are very much on board and excited about getting students into their school buildings sooner. That has been a lot of the learning curve has also been for our special area teachers. And I believe in Washington County, you call them encore teachers. So for our special area teachers, our related arts teachers, library, music, phys ed, helping them really build their confidence and skill set and knowledge of early childhood development, because most of them went to college for their area of expertise or specialty, and most of their training is really geared towards more secondary, even in general. So while they end up being certified kindergarten through, that it's really a very different shift and pedagogy for them. So we've been really working on professional development for our special area teachers, because that was an area that we identified last year as a struggle point for how do I have 24-year-olds come in and they're not going to sit on the rug in the library nor in a chair for 50 minutes. And what are all those pedagogical shifts that we need to make? So really working with them to support them and feeling more confident. And then at the same time, building our ability to have them then help support and train the next round of schools that will be expanding to full day pre-K programs. So we are in a expansion process. One of our goals for next year is really looking at expanding with our private partners. In Baltimore County, I believe there are only 7 approved private partners. And so we know that that's an area that we really need to capitalize on. And what are those supports that we might be able to leverage to assist private providers with looking at becoming, MSD accredited and working with us. So we sort of are working on 2 pathways. One is the private provider pathway, really trying to build up that depth for us, and at the same time continuing to expand within the LEA. Our superintendent's very focused on pre-K expansion, hence being able to open 43 new classes during probably the worst fiscal year that we're all facing. I think really speaks to her commitment with helping us move this forward, and knowing that age 3 and 4 is really where we're going to make an impact to ensure students are ready to meet then those expectations of the end of 10th grade. So, and Andrea, I'm not going to put her on the spot because she is an elementary school principal right now who is excitedly coming to join the team as our early childhood director as of July 1. But she is a true advocate for students, and especially our students with exceptional learning needs. So we are very excited to have her join, but I'm not going to put her on the spot unless she'd like to share something.
The only thing I'd like to share is I'd like to say thank you, because just in the first half of this meeting, I have a page full of notes. And Kelly, don't worry, I will be contacting you to come visit. I have loved everything I've heard so far. Thank you.
Could I ask a quick question, Ruby, in regards to this whole conversation we've been having? And I love this model of high schools hosting pre-K classrooms. For special areas, it sounds like there might be 2 different things that I've heard about going on in different counties. Do you all have elementary special area teachers come over to the school, or do you have the high school music, art, library teachers service the pre-K students for specials?
At Tech High, there are not like special teachers, encore teachers that are here at Tech High, because it's very specific to what their tech area is. So we have the elementary encore teachers come to us, and they do their music, art, media, and PE classes come to us, which has been wonderful.
Mm-hmm. And then they come into your room, or?
Yes, they're in my room. Yes.
Is that the same at all schools in the county, or?
So all of our elementary schools have like the regular specials, that physical education. I will say it was a challenge at first when we expanded so much so fast that at the time we didn't think about all the encore staff that also comes along with them providing that 15 period. Yeah, it is. It was a challenge. So we've had some, like, that's why we have some positions that are split, which is what was happening with Little Hubs at that neighboring elementary school. Their encore staff go to another school half the time. So that's why we couldn't fit them in. So we use high school staff. I put up to make sure they have media, they have STEM, nutrition, health and cooking, visual arts and culture, and physical education are their special classes.
Now, I think both models are interesting. I just think it's so fun to be able to be with a high school teacher, even if that is a little stretching for them. It's a good reminder all kids are kids, whether they're 4 or they're 17. As someone who's taught middle school and who's taught kindergarten, it's all the same. The vocabulary just changes. So that, I just think, I really hope that gets projected out to the state, because I think it's just such a unique, powerful opportunity. A lot of people talk about, private pre-K centers being set up in nursing homes. And I think that's a wonderful thing too, but within what's in the realm of control of public schools, to be able to put pre-Ks in high schools, I think it does so much good for the kids, the bigger kids. What about lunch? Can you talk through how lunch looks and works at the different schools?
Sure. At Tech High, we are very lucky because there's a culinary department. So we get dessert every day. We get lunch from the culinary department every day. So what happens is our high school interns or whoever's around go down to the cafeteria or the kitchen and pick up our lunch and bring it down, and we eat in the classroom with the
Okay.
kids. Mhm. So we have a separate lunchtime, but the kids eat in the classroom, and that has been beneficial because in the cafeteria, there's only so long they can eat, right? And kids sometimes take longer to eat, or they're learning table manners, or they're learning, that I have to eat my growing food before I can eat my other things. So we do spend time with that, especially at the beginning of the year. So the kids get used to eating at the table, not getting up and walking around with the food, eating, not, shoving everything in your mouth, taking your time, taking all of those time to help the kids. It's just a learning step. So I have found it very beneficial for the kids to eat when we're in the classroom. I like it.
Our other program actually allows them to go down to the cafeteria. They just have it at a time when there's no other like big kids, high school students are down there, but the high school students that are in the TAM will go down and assist and provide that. But the food actually comes from like the elementary school. So they still have like a lunch choice that's like elementary friendly.
Okay.
So that's great. I mean, I really like that program. It should be replicated in other counties. What about Sakshi? What do you think of this program happening in high school? Because I know you're in high school.
Yeah, I know that we in Howard County we do have the Teacher Academy of Maryland too, but and I know we have a preschool like class within our high school too. I just didn't know that we were actually allowed to go in and intern there. I think that's a really like cool idea, and like I'm certainly like I think tomorrow at school I'm gonna go in and ask them like how that would work if I could actually intern there next year, because
Yeah.
I'm actually like a rising junior, so that would be a good like 2-year program for me. I just have a question. Like this internship thing, is it built into your schedule? Like, is it like a class you sign up for, or is it just something else?
It's part of their, so at Washington County or Boyd J. Michael Technical High School, they have where the juniors are with Mrs. Potter, who is the high school teacher, all morning. And then, no, that's backwards. Seniors were with her all morning. Sorry. Juniors are with her all afternoon. So it's built into that time when they are scheduled to be with Mrs. Potter. So it doesn't take away from other academics. So that's how it works. That's when I have juniors in the afternoon in the class in and out. And then in the morning, there were seniors that were in and out and doing their thing.
Okay,
So it works
thank
out
you.
nicely. Yeah.
Thank you. Rachel?
Sakshi, I just wanted to mention that to prepare yourself to go have this conversation tomorrow, Gina, your team wrote about this in their submission. So if you need to be armed with any here's proof of concept, and then also this video is recorded and available. So if you need those links or anything, we can set you up we got all the resources to hear how it's working and where it's happening at.
Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Thank you. So you have the support of everyone in this call. So, yeah. So
I
that's
just want to piggyback on something Melissa said too. I know because I know how you said with the expansion of pre-K is Encore is a struggle, and I just I started a pre-K at one of our elementary schools that had just gotten kindergarten back probably I think a year before I started the pre-K, and the Encore teachers were like, what do I do, like how do I what do I do with them? And so we worked to build I think what Kelly recently is last year we were doing a PD with Encore teachers, because even when we started our new curriculum, because we just adopted CKLA, we had to look at how could we not change the Encore, but like how could we help those Encore teachers and build their capacity for working with the littles, and then also help with, so like when I first started it, I would have weekly meetings with the Encore teachers, and they'd say, okay, tell me what you have coming up, how can I help? So if you're doing habitats, how can I help with habitats in art class and music class and even PE and things like that? So I really think that that's great that you said you were doing some PD with your Encore teachers, because I think that that is so important. And just building that capacity, because pre-K isn't everybody's wheelhouse, and it can be different for somebody that my husband teaches high school and he says he couldn't teach pre-K. I say I couldn't teach high school. So it's just very different shifts.
I'm going to give Andrea think about too. So as you take on this new role, something we also did was when we reflected on our kindergarten readiness data, we actually had our different supervisors of fine arts, the media, physical education, they actually dug into the data as well to think about how they could support then through their specials and things like that and how it related in the curriculum. So that's just to think about for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So, I like how the partnership is already happening, that, the counties are already talking to one another and trying to get ideas and helping one another, because the only way that we can get this implementation correct is if we all work together. AIB cannot do it by themselves. MSDE cannot do it by themselves, but we can all get together and do it. And so that way it'll be successful. So thank you. That was really amazing.
Can I ask, oh, sorry to interrupt you, Ruby. Can I ask Melissa one more question?
Yeah.
I love, Ruby, how you're a partner and you're part of it. Melissa, are you struggling to find partners in the private, like providers with centers and things like that? Or are you doing anything innovative to get them on board, to partner?
So I was appointed as Chief Academic Officer in August of last year. So I haven't even finished my first year. So I'm going to say I have not done anything innovative. I'm trying to get my feet but what we have done, my coordinator for early childhood has, they invite the current partner. So to professional learning activities, to any workshops that we do, like through Judy Centers. So they're inviting the current partners, but how to branch out and look for new partners and help facilitate that is an area of exploration for us for next year. Because even the capacity of our current partners is so small, with really making a difference number-wise for the number of students that they can support. So I will let you know if I come up with some innovative ideas, but this is in the development stage.
I'll let you know if we think of anything either. Maybe
Awesome.
Rachel can listen in on this though, but one of our challenges this year was we had some centers who were very interested, but they weren't published yet at that level 4 or 5. So then they couldn't apply for that expansion grant. And I know last year there were funds with the building capacity grant, which was awesome, but there was nothing this year. So some of them I think are starting up and are going to charge for a year until they can get that Excels in place. So that was just a challenge that some of our providers centers had this year.
Well, thank you. That brings us to our next speaker, Scott. And Scott is going to share about his unique setting and also some challenges that he's facing and some consideration. Go ahead, Scott.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, Ruby. Again, I'm here representing the Potomac Association of Cooperative Teachers. Cooperative schools have a long and rich history in early childhood education and in the area. We've got member schools in Montgomery County, Howard County, Anne Arundel County. We also bridge into the district and Virginia, but I'm here more specifically for the Maryland schools because of the blueprint. And I heard things such as private school barriers for participation in the blueprint. And the barrier I'm here to address is the full-time requirement. I'm hearing people talking about changing half-time programs into full-time programs. We as a community believe that part-time programs are very deserving of the label high-quality kindergarten prepared programs. Our families I'm in this school because I was a family who sought a part-time program. I believe high quality can come in many different packages, and part-time can certainly be one of them. As co-op schools, we actually work with the families as staff at the school. My 4-year-old classroom has myself and my assistant in it. And then on a daily basis, we have 2 parents of students in our classroom working as teachers' assistants, essentially. They also work in the operations of the school. We have parents working for our public relations, for our operations, for our fundraising, for our financial aspects. So we really are a partnership with families, and we're a partnership with families who have specifically decided that they want a high quality part-time program. And we think that these programs deserve a seat at the table of the blueprint opportunity. So if we're in looking at the terms of the blueprint, it says mixed mixed delivery system, high quality, and parent choice. So if we're really addressing those things, I'm personally confused as an educator and as a parent of why there's the strict elimination of that. I'm unaware of any data that might prove that co-op part-time programs are not getting kids ready for kindergarten. Anecdotally, as a parent, my kids were more than ready for kindergarten. I have teachers who have my kids, students go into their programs and say, your kids are absolutely ready for what's going on here. We are play-based. We are social emotional emphasis. All of our teachers meet the current qualifications. We're licensed with the state. I'm level 5 Excel's credentialed myself. We're working on our Excel certification. So I'm working also with the Children's Opportunity Alliance in Montgomery County to see if there's some kind of data that we can start amassing to help with our story. And that's actually Laura with the Children's Opportunity Alliance connected me with Ruby and thought this might be a possibility for a stating of the case for let's not necessarily turn all the part-time seats into full-time, because there are families who do specifically want part-time, and we don't think that should be eliminated. Personally, as an educator and a parent, that's my choice. I think that's really not to say full-time can't provide. There are certainly kids who need full-time and families that need full-time. But if we're talking about family choice, part-time ought to be at the table also.
Yeah, thank you, Scott, for bringing that. Yeah, of course, we have to look at the parent choice, and some parents also ought to, to want the part-time. Yeah, go ahead.
My programs was started in 1942 by parents who wanted to be the primary caregivers to their children, but also saw that by combining their efforts, by pursuing expertise in early childhood education, and by pursuing part-time programs and working together to build it themselves, that they could really develop something special. All of the staff that work at my school, we were all parents at the school, and we feel really, really good about what we do.
Yeah, Jacob?
My question would just be logistically, if you were receiving, public dollars to support your program and place students there through that, how would providing meals work if you're a part-time program? Because currently, one of the big benefits of a child going to a full day placement is the guaranteed breakfast and lunch that they receive to, provide food security for our children at 3 and 4 years old.
Right.
How would that work in a part-time setting?
Well, certainly there would need to be some adjustments to the requirements that are out there for full-time programs. It would need to be kind of prorated against a part-time program. And one of the reasons I'm thinking about this is while the blueprint, as I understand it, is focused mostly on tier 1 students now who need more assistance for food security, et cetera, that down the line, this is looking at more a universal pre-K, and we're going to tier 2 and tier 3 down the line, where economic issues are not going to be the same. So there would be work that would need to be done, but we're not looking at. So yeah, there would be work that would need to be done to make adjustments to that.
All right, so there wouldn't really be an answer to that yet, but
no, this is in the theoretical right now.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up to the committee, Scott. Appreciate all your,
Sure.
Bringing up your concerns and, what's going on in the co-op world, right? Which we're not aware of. Thank you. Dr. Ray, do you have anything to wrap up or?
No, well, I guess yes. I'm just really excited about the things that are going on across the state. As I was listening to the Little Hubs and the apprenticeships and the Accelerate and an internship and the Little Eagles, I was thinking about when I was teaching Head Start, how in Prince George's County, they had a Head Start classroom in one of the high schools. And I was thinking of, I wonder if people could look at some of the models, even though it was a while back, and maybe implement some of what we were doing then. I was in a Head Start that was in the bottom of an apartment building. So, the local elementary, they brought our lunch to us. We had a PE teacher. We had some of those specials, not all of them, but we made do. We hired somebody to come in and do activities with the kids. But it just reminded me of how we had it set up when we did Head Start like that. And so I just wonder if some of these models come from that, from those previous experiences, because I thought it was very successful. And the other teacher and I, we joined together and collaborated. So we took our kids on field trips and everything, but we just went together. So it wasn't like a bus of 20 kids. It was a bus of 40 kids. And we took our chaperones, but close off-site programs can always collaborate and do a lot more, with the resources. So that's it. It's just really good hearing about how that is working, because it does work.
You
Yeah.
must be reading my mind, because that's something we want to start thinking about, is doing some partnerships with Head Start Next with 3-year-olds and thinking of some collaboration classrooms. So more to come.
Yeah, that would be amazing, because I think it's all already happening, or it happened in some of the counties, that they're partnering with private programs too, because some of the private programs, they're not full, or they need students, and that would be a good use of space if they don't have the space or they want to expand.
Space and personnel. If you think about them collaborating, then, Ruby, when you were talking about access to training and programs like that, well, if it's two providers and they're collaborating, then one person can be the sub or can stay with the kids while the other person attends, and they can swap out and collaborate that way, so that both of the grantees can receive what they need for their centers. So yeah, I like how, people are really thinking out of the box to make the implementation happen.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you. So
with our programs in our high school, we keep the collaboration even between the high school program and the close elementary school. So even something like field day or assemblies or field trips, also with the collaboration between the, Bridget's by herself as far as a pre-K classroom is concerned, but she partners with the teacher at the elementary school that teaches pre-K. So, just getting creative in that aspect too, just so that, it's not so much of an island, in the collaboration, and, just trying, like Kelly said, to just think about how we're going to collaborate with our private providers too.
okay, so yeah, so in closing, maybe we want to look at the topic for our next meeting. And the next Pillar 1 Advisory Committee meeting is scheduled on July 11th. What are the committee's thoughts on July 11th? I know a lot of people might be on vacation, or being the summer, and so what are your thoughts on the July 11th date? Or do you want to go ahead and skip July and just go into August? It's up to the committee. Jacob?
I don't have a preference on July versus August, but what I will share that I think was something interesting brought up tonight that I'd like to hear more from both a private and public perspective is those, I know they don't like to be called special areas. I need to learn the proper term, but how the changes of expanding pre-K is impacting, and how people are adapting in providing those programs like music, art, physical education, health education, what that's looking like at our private centers, and also, how those departments are adapting in our public school systems. I think that would be interesting to hear more about. Kind of came up as an aside tonight, and it just kind of had my gears spinning of, I haven't really thought about their impact through this change.
So do you want to kind of focus on special areas in our next meeting?
Yeah, it'd be nice to hear from some of those educators on how that's working across the state. Maybe we could all reach out to some of our LEAs to see if anybody has any thoughts they'd like to share with us. But it's just one of those pieces that it's not the main thing, but it's connected to what we're doing, and to make sure things are going well. What are the successes? What are the strains on that work?
Yeah, that is very good topic. Yeah, that we can. What any thoughts from the committee?
No, I think that's a good idea. And I think, I've always said, I think the benefit to these meetings is that we hear from other counties. So we're all learning, I take notes every meeting, and I'll come back to Kelly and I'll be like, wow, I heard about this and we should try this. And, and just like, Baltimore said, it's like, you do have, we're all in the same boat, and we're all still learning this blueprint. We're all still learning the implementation and the pre-K expansion and the private provider sector and all of that stuff. So I just think it's always great to learn from other counties. So I just think in general, if there's something that another county is doing, but I'm wondering, as far as the meeting's concerned, do we just maybe send a poll and see and kind of take a vote and look at that? And Rachel, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. I also don't know, if the I know I'd heard about terms ending and things like that. So I don't know if we need to discuss that later, Rachel, because I know we're coming to a close here. So
you will be getting some information out here in the near future, but essentially if you started in the first go round when we launched our advisory committees, that group of people, those terms are coming to a close June 30th. And there will be the option to extend for anyone who is interested in staying on board. And then for any open seats that we have, we will be doing the same process we've done from our initial recruitment and last year to recruit new members. And our goal is always to reflect the diversity of Maryland in all ways, and including within the pillar content area. So we anticipate to get some information out to all advisory committee members in the next 2 weeks, and to have, if there are new members on the team, to have new members appointed like probably over the summertime would be our goal. So we'll be in touch soon.
Okay, so so right now we're still okay with the July 11th as our next meeting date, right? Okay, all right, perfect. Thank you so much, everyone. And Rachel, do you want to close this out?
Sure, this was fabulous. This hour of my life flew by. I'm just really enjoying all of the Pillar One conversations, and really appreciate the efforts underway and just the open sharing. And it's really exciting to hear. So many thanks to all of our guests for being here, and for this awesome committee for these excellent monthly meetings. Thank you, and have a wonderful, wonderful evening.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.